The Sakshi, Buddhi should be aligned with Sakshi. But what does the Buddhi do? Instead, it plays with the sense organs which are into what? Sense objects. This is the problem. So the Buddhi keeps going out, and as though that was not bad enough, what does it say? It says, Sakshi is bad. Sakshi is going out. So the attributes of the Buddhi here, chanchalyam, restlessness, movement, is superimposed upon, is projected upon what? Poor innocent Sakshi, not just Sakshi. Poor innocent Sakshi who simply is. And therefore leading to conclusions such as, I am restless, I can't focus, I have brain fog. This is a relatively new expression. I have brain fog. It encompasses many conditions. So when you say I am foggy, I have brain fog, what is it that the person is trying to say? Really speaking, the person is trying to say, I observe that there is a certain lack of clarity in my thinking due to so many reasons. Reasons are not important. So when somebody says I have brain fog or I feel foggy up top, when they say that, what are they saying? I have a certain kind of an unclarity, no clarity in my thinking. But instead of that, what does the instead of saying that, what does the person do? I am brain fog. Oh no, I can't think properly. Oh no, my thinking is foggy. And oh no, I'm restless. Oh no, I'm bored. I'm bored means what? Sakshi is observing that the Buddhi doesn't have much to do. That's what. And so when the I takes on various attributes, the Sakshi, the Buddhi's attributes are aropita. Aropita means projected upon the Sakshi. Who is Sakshi? Witness. Upon the witness which is free of all those attributes. This is the cause of sorrow. This is the cause of samsara. This is what is being talked about. So, antastha-dhihi sahaiva akshaihi. So this buddhi which is antastha, which is internal. From the standpoint, of course, of the body-mind-sense complex, this internal buddhi along with its friends. Who are its friends? Sense organs. Keeps going out. Punah punaha, what does it do? Bahiryati, keeps going out. Goes for coffee one day, goes shopping another day, goes for a hike the third day. Like this, it's keeping on going out all over the place. When? All the time. And then this buddhi is bhasya buddhi. See the second line. Bhasya buddhi means what? Itself is illumined. Itself it is illumined. It is not something which is self-illumined. Itself is illumined by who? Sakshi. This buddhi which is illumined by what? Sakshi. What does it do? It as though projects its movement, chanchalyam, restlessness, etc. on the Sakshi. So Sakshi becomes Buddhi. Buddhi masquerades as a restless Sakshi. Anyonya adhyasa. So adhyasa means a mistake. We have seen this. Mistake, and the definition of adhyasa in the Shankara Bhashya to the Brahma Sutra is very beautifully given. The definition of adhyasa there is what? Atasmin tad buddhi. Atasmin tad buddhihi adhyasah. It's a fantastic definition. Tasmin means in that. In that, like supposing if I say in that buddhi. Like for example, ghate, in the pot, ghata buddhi. So if in the pot, in the place of the pot, what do I cognize? Pot. Then that is tasmin tad buddhi. I am cognizing it correctly. Where I see pot, what am I saying? In pot I have pot buddhi. That's correct. In pot I don't have frog buddhi. I don't have some other buddhi. In pot I am having pot buddhi. This is called yathartha jnanam. Knowledge as it is. This is jnanam. Tasmin tad buddhi is jnanam. Atasmin tad buddhi, now you negate in not that buddhi. What is this? Glasses. Is this pot? No. In not pot, pot buddhi. So if I look at the glasses and say, what a wonderful pot, then I am committing adhyasa according to this definition. So here, with the buddhi and the sakshi, so with regard to the buddhi's attributes are projected upon the witness which is free of ahankara, free of buddhi, free of sorrow, free of strife, free of samsara, totally free of all afflictions. This is my nature. Not just my nature, everybody's nature, okay? Yeah. This is one's nature. But in this sakshi, which is free of everything, atasmin, in the not buddhi, buddhi attributes are put, which is where the sakshi. One kind of adhyasa. Another kind of adhyasa is not seeing the sakshi for what it is. Thinking that the sakshi is chanchala, moving, restless, bored, sad, upset, frightened, all these things. And so, therefore, resolving this is of paramount importance for the one who is who? A mumukshu. You have to be able to say, who is a mumukshu? The one who says shu to the adhyasa. Yeah. You keep the adhyasa away through this self-knowledge. To assimilate this better, I got a note after the first class from somebody in Washington DC and said, we are trying our best not to get a headache as we follow these classes. My sympathies, okay? It's an involved text, and then all I have to say to them is they are not alone. Yes, there are many people here who will want to be best friends with you for this reason. So now, to assimilate this better and have a firmer grip on what was talked about, an example is given, and then first we have the example, and then we have, in the next verse, what it is trying to say. Grihantargata svalpaha gavakshada tapochalaha tatra haste, it should be nartyamane, no, yeah. Tatra haste nrityamane nrityati vatapo yatha. Okay, very interesting and a common example. He is really a master of examples. So, grihe antargataha, coming inside the house. Okay? What is coming inside the house? Svalpaha atapaha. A baby son is coming inside the house. Atapaha atsamantat Tapati iti atapaha, that which relentlessly shines, sun. Swalpaha. Swalpaha means tiny bit. Tiny bit of sun, a piece of sun, a beam of the sun is coming inside the house. How? Gavakshat, through the ventilator. What in the olden times it was called ventilator, nowadays it's fancy name, skylight. So you have a skylight, and then a piece of the sun, a little sun ray, a sunbeam is coming in the house. That is the first line. Grihe antargataha, inside the house, swalpaha, atapaha, a small piece of the sun, atapaha, and then what is the last word? What is the last word? Achalaha, very good, not chalaha. See, this is the cleverness of Swami Vidyaranya. It is achalaha, but looks to be chalaha. So therefore, it is here also, the elision is done very, very cleverly. Achalaha. Now when the sunbeam falls through the skylight, is it moving or unmoving? Abba, thank God. Unmoving. It's not going anywhere. It's just falling in one place. When the sun moves, it moves, but don't overthink it. Right now, is it moving or not? No. It is in the same place. So then, suppose you try to catch the sunbeam with your hand or put your hand under the sunbeam, and then what do? Do some dance mudras. Ta, thai, like this. After all, this dance element, Nataka Deepa, is there throughout, so it's somehow continuing. So what do? Tatra haste nrityamane, nrityamane haste. So when the hand is doing some mudras, you go like this, and then just under the sunbeam. The sunbeam should be falling on this hand, and with this hand you are doing dance mudras. What will happen then? What happens to the sunbeam? It also moves. Does it move? No. It appears to move. It appears to move. What is moving? Hand is moving. But when the hand goes like this, the sunbeam also appears to be going from here to there. And this is the example. Very beautiful example. So, tatra haste nrityamane, nrityati iva, as though dances. So, who is dancing? You are dancing. Your hands are dancing. So you are making all these hand mudras up and down right under the sunbeam, and the sunbeam also apparently starts to move along with your hands. And then it goes this side, it goes that side, and similarly what? The buddhi, who is what? The dancer, who was the dancer earlier, the buddhi keeps dancing where? In the light of the Sakshi. In the light of the Sakshi, the buddhi is dancing. Sakshi is witness, unaffected witness. In the light of the buddhi, in the light of the Sakshi, the buddhi is dancing. But because of this adhyasa, what does it appear? That the Sakshi is also dancing to the tune of the buddhi. It appears as though the Sakshi, the witness, is also moving. So, but that is not the case. Now we are moving on, and then, because yatha means, here is the example, and then the tatha will come in the 19th verse. So verses number 18 and 19 are going to be taken together. Nijasthanasthitas sakshi bahirantargamāgamau akurvan buddhi chanchalyāt karotiva tatha tatha. So, nijasthana sthitaha. Nijasthana means in its own place. What is that place? Sakshi's place. Where is Sakshi's place? All pervasive. Meaning, in its own glory. Wherever that place comes, we should say, abiding in its own glory as Satchidanandam Brahma. As that Brahman which is free of time, space, limitations, which is free of sorrow, fear, anger, that Brahman I am. That Brahman is difficult to understand without Vedanta Shastra and all this, and then therefore I can help myself as I am studying Vedanta to these examples. And in these examples, this Brahman which I am is not moving, is not an actor. Brahman doesn't do anything. In fact, it's the most boring thing ever. Yeah. It doesn't move. It doesn't become a doer. It is not done in by other people's omissions and commissions. It's not guilty because of its own omissions and commissions. It doesn't interfere in anything. It does not, and also it does not ever sleep. It's always present, always shining as the self. So, this I don't know. So what happens? I go with, because all this I cannot observe. Why I can't observe this? Because it's not an object. Why is it not an object? Because it's me. And who is me? The truth of the subject. So since I am not an object, I cannot objectify myself. What do? I just keep objectifying everything else, and this is how I spend the time. And in the objects, I look for myself and think this is who I am. And so therefore, this example of the sunbeam moving when something underneath, like the hand underneath, is kept and moved, is very apt here, because there are two things as though in association. What is that? Aham, which we just described as Satchidanandam Brahma, and then Idam. What is Idam? The world of objects. What do they have in common? Zero, nothing. The subject I, sentient. The world of objects, insentient. The subject I, infinite. Objects, finite. Subject, observer. Objects of cognition. There is nothing in common, absolutely nothing in common. They are like, as Adi Shankara says in the Adhyasa Bhashya, light and darkness. Can light and darkness go for a walk? No, not at all. And we have seen this Pujya Swamiji's beautiful story. So there was this village chieftain's daughter was getting married in the village. And then the chieftain had hired some cottages and all that for the bridegroom's family. And then what happens is an ancient story. So he called one trusted servant and said, make sure they are okay, because after all they are our guests. They have come for this marriage. They have come. They are all there, and they should not be ignored, and none of their needs should be unmet. Please go see how they are. And actually, when you go see, you take a lantern with you. Take a lantern with you, and when you see, don't even ask them, when you see a dark place, put the lantern, because we don't want them walking in the dark and tripping and falling like things that go bump in the night. We don't want the, grooms people to be doing that. Kuppan, ever the obedient employee, says, yes, master, and goes with a lantern on his head, oil lantern. And he goes to the place where the cottages are, and he looks here, all he sees is light. Then he looks here, all he sees is light. Then he looks there, all he sees is light. And he comes back with the lantern. And the master says, "What happened? You're bringing the light back. I told you to put a few more lights there." He says, "Master, I looked everywhere and I could not find a dark place at all." I could not find a dark place. And what does this story illustrate? That light and darkness have no truck with one another. They cannot go out for coffee at Yugapat at the same time. They cannot do that. Light cannot, what is that? SMS darkness and say, "Oh, you are such a good friend. It has been such a long time since I saw you. Let us just meet here." Because as soon as light shows up, darkness won't show up. No show. Another story also is given that the sun, who is imagined in the mythology as having many horses and a huge chariot, is going across the sky. Narada joins him. The sage Narada joins him for a ride. And Narada, poor Narada, has got a bad rap as a troublemaker. He's not a troublemaker. He's a truth teller. So whenever Narada comes into our lives, like right now, that means one is ready for an important transformation. So the sun, everybody loves Narada because he has interterrestrial visa. He can go from one loka to another loka. Everywhere he is allowed, and he is very diplomatic, and he is very friendly, and he brings the news from other lokas, so he is very popular also. So Narada gets into the chariot with the sun and says, "Can I join you today for the ride?" "Yes, yes, please, come, sit." And they fall into a conversation. Surya Bhagavan says, "Do people still love me on earth?" "Oh yes. In fact, their day starts only with you." And nowadays, not only in India, but also all over the West, they are doing namaskars to you. "Really? How? Tell me more." Surya Namaskar. They are doing yoga, they are doing Surya Namaskara. All of them are just adoring you. "Really? All of them are adoring me except one." "Oh, one? Who is this?" "She's a very shy lady." "What? A lady doesn't know of my existence? Who is she?" "Miss Night." "Let's go catch up with her. Where is she now?" "She's in India right now." And he turns the horses and goes. By the time he goes there, what happens? Yeah, Miss Night has come to America. Yes. So light and darkness cannot coexist in the same place at the same time. Similarly, the all-light Sakshi and the inert body-mind-sense complex are not two realities. Because really speaking, when you take this example of light and darkness, what is darkness? There's no such thing as darkness. It's opposed to light. That's all is there. There is an oppositional definition. That which is opposed to light is darkness. It's a negative definition. There is no such thing called darkness. Dark matter in space maybe, but not darkness. There is no such thing called darkness. Here also, if you are ready to go here with me, there is no such thing called buddhi, there is no such thing called manaha, and to this we have to add independent of Sakshi. They are all latched on to the Sakshi. Sakshi lights up the buddhi, and buddhi feels very good, and buddhi then becomes friends with the ahankara on one side and says, "I'll let you have the credit. You say you did it." You say you are the author. You say you shine. And on the other hand, the best friends of buddhi, BFF of buddhi, are who? Sense organs. So, and poor Sakshi, its status has been usurped, totally usurped. Its status has been utterly and totally usurped, and there is a adhyaropa, or rather there is a adhyasa. What is the adhyasa? Sakshi is moving. Sakshi means I. I am moving. I am restless. I am bored. I am tired. I am an idiot. Nobody loves me. I am of no use. Or sometimes I am great. I have done a lot in my life. All these things are just projections. Projections of that silent Sakshi, the witness, who is everything, but who does not objectify itself, who cannot objectify itself. So, nijasthana sthitaha means abiding in its own reality, which is what kind of reality? Ultimate, absolute reality. Paramarthikam sat. Paramarthikam sat. Abiding in its own reality, abiding in its own truth, in other words, abiding in its own glory. And what is its glory? Endless glory. So it is just Sakshi is just being, it's not doing anything. It's simply being, it's the illuminer of everything, and it is self-illumined, therefore it doesn't need to be illumined by any other source of light. So, nijasthana sthitas sakshi, what does it do? Bahir antaha gamagamau. Bahir antaha means outside and inside. Gamagamau. So, this going and coming, gama going, agama coming. Gama cha, agama cha, agamaha cha, gamascha, agamascha, gamagamau. So, this going and coming, what was doing the going and coming? Buddhi. This going and coming, and what else? This going and coming were out and in. And out and in is from the standpoint of what? This upadhi. Going out of the upadhi to cognize objects, to love up all kinds of objects, and to get some things. Why? Because one feels incomplete. That's why the buddhi is got an outward thrust. Buddhi goes out. Why? Because it feels incomplete. It is under the spell of Atma Ajnanam. It goes out, and then what? It forages like a rag picker. You know rag picker? Yeah. All these leftover little pieces of approval, pieces of validation. Oh, somebody said I am good. Great. Hunting for validation, hunting for approval, goes along with the sense organs and sees what can I conquer, what will make me more relevant, what can I hoard, what can I have that I don't have. In other words, to bring in the Bhagavad Gita, it goes for yoga kshema pursuits. All kinds of pursuits it has. I want this, I want to hoard this, I don't want this, I want to get rid of this. All this agenda, it has every day so much agenda. If you ask anybody, what are you doing today? They'll say, don't ask. So many things I have. So, and then the person doesn't even know how to rest, doesn't know how to relax. And so because it is just, caught up in the doership. So this buddhi goes in and out. Bahihi antaha, outside and inside, gama gamau. This buddhi goes, but what about the sakshi? Na. Sakshi, bahihi antaha gama gamau akurvan. See the first word of the next line? Akurvan, not doing. Not doing this gama gama business, meaning not going anywhere. Why is it not going anywhere? It is not seeking. What is it not seeking? Approval. It's not approval hunting. It is not validation hunting. It is not security hunting. It is not name hunting. It is not fame hunting. But why is it not hunting all this? It is Purna. What was the first verse that said? It is Paramatma. Paramatma, it is Advaya, it is non-dual, it is Purna, and then it is what else? Ananda. Very good. That's why it doesn't seek. It's the most secure thing, this Sakshi, the content, the truth of this Sakshi, namely myself. I am the most secure thing there is. Why? There is no competition, there is no one like me to say I have to be better than you. There is no one unlike me to stand out and say, I'm not like you, thank God. Even that positive comparison is not there, negative comparison is not there, and then there is nothing else other than me. I'm the most significant person, and then what kind of a person I am? Full, Purna, complete, no lacking, no sense of lack or incompleteness centered on the self. If there is an incompleteness centered on the self, it rankles. And then one wants to fix it immediately. Here, one is happy. One is fulfilled. One has no desires at all because all the desires I'm already completed, already fulfilled. Like a bald man walking in the shampoo aisle of the supermarket. So, there will be all kinds of hair products, hair raising products, how to make the hair grow faster. This person says, okay, it's of no use, has complete total vairagya. And there is shampoo. What's the point of shampoo? All kinds of shampoos are there with fruits and flowers in them. I don't know why they put that, but they say mango shampoo, avocado shampoo. I thought those were for eating. No, this is for cleaning the hair. Okay? And what does the bald man do? With utter and total vairagya, goes through that shampoo aisle and the hair care aisle of the supermarket, not looking at the shampoo, not looking at the various gels, not looking at the conditioner, not looking at hair growth products, nothing. With total dispassion, the person goes. That is how the Sakshi is. Oh, the Sakshi is also bald like me? No, I didn't say that. That's an example. That's an example, okay? So, the Sakshi is Asanga, like even a person who doesn't need. It's like going through the baby aisle of the supermarket. So, children's things, toys and little frocks and outfits and all. You can't wear them. And you don't have any children. And you don't know anybody who has a small child right now. So you'll just hurry through that. You're just using that aisle to get to some other place. And so similarly, the Sakshi is like that. It is totally unattached to anything. It has total dispassion. And we can't even keep on addressing it as it. It is you. That is one's true nature. Complete and total dispassion, complete asangatvam, complete uninvolvement with whatever there is. The buddhi with the ahankara on one side, hand in hand, and then along in the other hand what? Sense organs keeps on reinscribing the insecurity centered on the self, reinscribing the lack, the incompleteness, the apurnata. And the buddhi is a tiny buddhi, okay? And because it's a tiny buddhi, it's not thinking properly. And what is it doing? It's coming to the wrong conclusion. Perhaps if I knew more, I will be contented. Perhaps if I have more friends, I will be contented. Perhaps if I had a bigger house, a better house, or at least more than one house, 2-3 houses, I will be contented. Perhaps if I had lot more money, I will be happy. Perhaps if I had more children, I will be happy. Not many people think that, okay? Yeah. In fact, the ones they have, they want to give away. Yeah, as soon as they hit teenage. So, so like this, there's all these things are based, all these wants, these raga and dvesha are based on a false premise. A premise that is full of dosha, fallacies. It's based on a fallacious premise. And what is the premise? I don't have. I am not enough. I am insecure. I need something more in order to be happy. I am unhappy. I'm subject to sorrow, and I'm also subject to what? Fear. This is the premise, and it is utterly wrong. Why? Because the Upanishad and texts like these, which are fashioned after the Upanishads, are all refuting this line. Okay, let the Upanishad refute. I know my story. It's a sad story. And in the example, I was called Prabhu. Why was I called Prabhu? Because I keep saying boo-hoo. That's why I'm Prabhu. Ahankara. You don't know my story. This is my narrative. And I'm stuck to this narrative. This is who I am. Any way you look at me, I am finite. Any way you look at me, I am limited. This is one reason to get married. Limited plus limited, private limited. Yeah. Yeah. Limited plus limited, private limited. Doubly limited. That's all it is. And how can limited plus limited become infinite? Not possible. Because infinite is not it's not a product. It is you. So not understanding this, the desires are too many, and the insecurity is not questioned. The insecurity is not questioned. The lack centered on the self is not questioned. That I am, whether I am a wanting person or not, that is not questioned. All this is taken for granted as the baseline, and based on this fallacious understanding, I try to repair myself and my circumstances by hoarding many things, people, all these objects, situations, events, people, I collect. In the hope that when I collect them, I will become bigger, I will become better known, I'll have more validation. All that may be true, but how long will they validate you? Until somebody who has more is on the horizon. That's all it is. That's why when they have this, what is that called? Fortune 500 magazine publishes the name of the richest people on the earth. And then one day, let's say, your name is there. Ha! I made it! I'm a big hit. Let's see who does anything to me. And next year, that's why you called yourself a big hit, because next year you have been hit. By who? Elon Musk. Yeah, that's what, somebody else is the richest person. So now it is Elon, and then somebody else will come along after next year or after a few years. It keeps changing. So the validation upon which I find myself to be dependent is what? Husk. It's like husk. After the rice has been harvested, that husk. Nissara. Whole samsara is like that. Samsara, according to Adi Shankara, is Nissara. Kadali Stambhavat. He has also one more nice example. Like the stem of a banana tree. The most bland and the most uninteresting vegetable. It is used as a vegetable. It has some healing properties also. And it's a bear to sit and cut it, and then you have to cook it, and then this kadali stambha, the trunk of the banana tree, there's nothing you can add to it to make it tasty. So likewise samsara is like that. And if you don't know how the stem of the banana tree tastes, think of tofu. Yeah, same thing. Yeah. Go to the supermarket, buy a carton of tofu. Open the carton, throw away the tofu, eat the carton, it's the same thing, same taste. Yeah. Same taste. Okay. So, samsara is like that. You cannot eke your approval and you cannot make yourself happy by seeking things from other people. Because why? The other people are also seeking things. Oh, it's okay, we'll have a mutual appreciation society. Never works. Does not work. Always there is an imbalance, always there is a fear, always there is some problem. And so therefore, here it is said that this better to this. So the first takeaway from the Nataka Deepa example is to align yourself with Sakshi. To align oneself with Sakshi is Atmajnanam. So here, again, even though the Sakshi doesn't move, the Sakshi doesn't go anywhere, like even the sunlight falling through the aperture in the house. The sunlight comes in the house and then it is not moving, but the hand underneath is moving, causing the sunlight to as though move. Similarly, the Sakshi is free from Bahihi and Antaha, inside and outside, has no meaning for the Sakshi. It is free from Gama and Agama. It is free from going and coming. It is free from seeking and wanting. And then, without engaging in all this, what happens? Because of the association with the Buddhi. There is an association because the Buddhi is borrowing the light from the Sakshi, so there is proximity there and there is association there. Because of the association with the Buddhi, Sakshi gets a bad name. Gets a bad name. Like if supposing there are two people and then what are they doing? It looks like they are doing something illegal. Let's say they are minors and they look like they are drinking. And then both of them are caught. One protests, I am innocent. I haven't been drinking. I haven't been engaging in these substances. Will the police believe them? No. They will also be taken to the lockup and then after that, after doing some tests, etc., then they say, yes, this fellow was telling the truth. This fellow is not part of this scheme. And then they will release that person. So the association of the self-shining Sakshi in the form of Ishvara with the Buddhi. Ishvara is the Sakshi. The truth of the Sakshi is Ishvara. Ishvara lights up the Buddhi and then the Buddhi thinks what? I am small. I am bad. And then when the Buddhi thinks I am bad, so the I am has got connected with all kinds of wrong ideas and associations. This is very beautifully illustrated in the Kathopanishad and in the Mundakopanishad. In the Kathopanishad we have a nice story. Two fellows are drinking in a cave. Doesn't sound good. Okay. And then what are they drinking? Karma cocktail. Little bit of punya, lot of papa. Or so it appears. And they are addicted to this cocktail. They keep shaking it and drinking it. And what are they getting? Little bit of sweet taste. Yes, let me take another sip. Ooh, rotten, terrible. Let me take one more sip. Bitter, pungent, awful. Let me take one more sip. Sweet again. This is why, because of this philosophy of intermittent rewards, the same principle upon which the casinos and all are made, intermittent rewards. If nobody got anything, then people will stop coming. So here also, the karma rewards with intermittent punya once in a while. So the person is still stuck to karma phala model. I have to keep doing, and I have to keep reaping the fruits of karma, hoping that there will be some nice karma somewhere, some punya will fructify. This is what it is. But are they both drinking? Even though it says ritam pibantau, dual. Ritam pibantau, sukrutasya loke, guham pravistau, parame parardhe, chaya tapau brahmavido vadanti. So, this is what it is said, that both are drinking. No. Only one is drinking. The other one is casting the light, the other one is the shadow. Shadow is drinking, the light is simply shining the light on the activity, free from that activity. One is the light of Ishvara, the light of consciousness, aham, and the other one is what? Buddhi, ahankara, mired in wrong understanding. Then again, if we make a little trip to the Mundaka Upanishad, same idea is given. Dva suparna sayuja sakhaya. Two birds of shining wings are the greatest of friends. Samanam vrikshe parishasva jate. On the same tree they are seen embracing one another because they are the best of friends. But that's where the similarity stops. Tayoho ekaha pippalam swadu atti. Swadu pippalam atti. One of them is jumping from branch to branch, busying itself in search of berries. Anyaha, the other one, anashnan, without eating, simply abhijakashiti. It simply looks on. Again, Ishvara bird and Jiva bird. Sakshi bird, Buddhi bird, if you want to follow this particular thing. The Ishvara, which is the truth of myself, is uninvolved in all these samsaric activities, but poor Ishvara gets trapped because of the association, as it were, just like the Sakshi is implicated in the shenanigans of the Buddhi. Further, so finally, in the 20th verse, the author puts an end, buries, gives a funeral ceremony to this question of inside and outside. Antaha bahihi. Let us chant that. Na bahyo nantaras sakshi buddhir deshehi tavubhau buddhyadya shesha samshantau. Mistake. Buddhyadya shesha samshantau. Yeah, put one A there after buddhya. Buddhyadya desha samshantau. Yatra bhatyasti tatra saha. Yeah. So, now we are going to eliminate this whole inside-outside business. Why? Because after coming to the 20th verse, we should have a little more, viveka here. Already this inside-outside was questioned, where, let us look and remind ourselves. Which verse was it questioned? Yeah, 16th verse. So, 16th verse, Swami Vidyaranya has already hinted where we are headed. This outside-inside business is from the standpoint of who? The body. Not from the standpoint of Sakshi. I say buddhi inside the body, and then objects of delight outside. So therefore buddhi has to go along with the sense organs as though outside. This outside-inside is only from the standpoint of Sakshi, from the standpoint of the body, not from the standpoint of the Sakshi. And always remember the example that this pot has something in it. What does it have? Space. So when pot is moved from point A to point B, am I moving pot space also? No. Sakshi stays. So this hint of what is to come was already given earlier in the 16th verse, and now once and for all this is going to be this whole inside outside is going to be put to an end, the argument. So na bahyah na antarah sakshi. So the sakshi, of course, one cannot help asking, where is this Sakshi located? Where might this Sakshi be located? What is the idea? It's not located. It is everywhere, like even space. Sakshi doesn't have a location. Brahman doesn't have a location. So, Atma, which is Brahman, doesn't have a location. I am all-pervasive. So this all-pervasive I, in the form of the Sakshi, does not have inside-outside. It's like saying, I want to go outside space. Where will you go? So that's not possible. The inside-outside from the standpoint of space is not possible. Inside-outside from the standpoint of Sakshi also, as we are seeing, not possible at all. And then, what else? Buddhehe deshehi tau ubhau. Tau ubhau, these two. Which two? Inside, outside. The concept of inside and outside, these two are best, see, the buddhi, they are best pertaining to the buddhi. They are best pertaining to the buddhi. Buddhehe deshe means from the standpoint of the buddhi alone they apply. They don't apply to Sakshi. Because here we are in the place of, we are in the reality where space and time are yet to come. Space and time are birthed, as it were, by the Sakshi. Space and time are as though products of the Sakshi, of Brahman. Tasmad va etasmat atmanah akashah sambhutah. So space and time are what? They are because Sakshi is, not the other way around. So, buddhyadi ashesha samshantau. So how do we know this? That it is only from the standpoint of buddhi that inside-outside is taking place? Give the buddhi a little bop on the head. What will happen? It will go to sleep. Put a pacifier, put the buddhi to sleep. Buddhyadi, buddhi adi means the sense organs, its friends. Sense organs, ahankara, all of them. So all of them are going to sleep, and then when they are asleep, what happens? Is there any inside? Is there any outside? No. All that is there is the all-pervasive Sakshi. Little more involved it is, and we have to see a few more things. We'll see that in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.